Thank you for making time for NTV Weekend Edition. It is the last Saturday of March, and this is what you can expect on the bulletin.
Tuko mademu watatu saizi wenye najua tuko na mimba yake.
A 17-year-old teenage boy and the 3 teenage girls he has impregnated.
Wajichunge. Mambo ya ngono, unaweza kupata ugonjwa wa ukimwi na unapata mimba. Hiyo ugonjwa ni mingi, hata kosonono iko.
From the debate on age of consent to the problem of early sexual abuse. Embu prison inmates are angry about basking in the sun and staying locked up all day.
It's not ethical, it's not right. If anything, prisoners should just do what is right, what is in line to rehabilitation.
We tell you what it is they want. 85-year-old granny who left 5 grandchildren in court of a 34-year-old land case is a frustrated old lady.
Tulipoenda kotini, ile judgment huwa inatolewa, huwa shamba inasemekana shamba ni letu. Na sai huwa analalamika kwamba hiyo shamba aliuziwa. Na mama anasema yeye mwenye alimuuzia yeye amjui na ajui alielewana wapi na agreement haikuonekana.
We tell you why.
Wamekwama katika mambo ya zamani ya ugomvi na fujo na mambo ya kupangiana, sijui mambo ya kule bunge. Mimi nataka niwaambie hawa wanasiasa, hiyo ni siasa ambayo imepitwa na wakati.
Forget what the president said. DP Ruto and his allies keep the fight against ODM MPs alive despite President Kenyatta's pleas.
NTV Weekend Edition with Gladys Gachanja.
Thank you once again for joining us. Our sign language interpreter tonight is David Agondoa. Now, there is an ongoing debate about the age of consent in the country, sparked by a Court of Appeal ruling that recommended a review downwards. But as that debate rolls on, there is a silent problem that could impact Kenya's largest population segment, the youth. That problem is the increasingly low age of sexual debut that keeps on dropping and which threatens the physical, psychological and emotional development of these youth. NTV's Eunice Omolo with the story of one underage teenage boy who has impregnated 3 underage teenage girls in Kibra.
Tuko mademu watatu saizi wenye najua tuko na mimba yake. Mi yangu iko 6 months. Huyo demu mwingine, huyo best friend wangu, saizi iko 3. Huyo mwingine ndo sasa sijajua.
15-year-old Bella, not her real name, lives in Kibera. Her young life has been disrupted after a heady affair with a fellow teenager, 16-year-old boy, who we shall name Ben for the purpose of this story.
Sasa baba wa mtoto tuliendanga shoot na yeye, photoshoot. Tukaanzanga kuongea tu hapo hivyo. Tukakuwa mabeshte, then we started dating. Actually hata tukumalizanga 2 months hiyo exact. But kituka 1.5 months nikapata ngaboli yake. Hiyo time tukienda kuambia baba huyu niko na mimba yake, yeye aliruka.
Bella had no knowledge of another teenage girl, Damaris, not her real name, who was also in a relationship with Ben.
Aliniletea gift, wakati aniletea gift na mimi nikakubali. Sasa wakati nilipata mimba ya kujua, hata mimi mwenyewe sikujua.
Ben rejected this pregnancy too.
Akakuja akauliza huyu kijana, uko na huyu msichana? Kijana akakataa. Siku chache na mamangu kwa ile wakati alikuwa na hasira, akaenda akashikule kijana, akampeleka police station Langata, akaekwa rumanda, akakaa mwezi mmoja, wazazi wake wakamtoa.
Damaris, like other young girls in Kibera area at one point in time, out of stigma and shame, had to drop out of school. Early this month, she was accepted in a school despite being expectant.
Is mostly in line with parental neglect, lack of information on sexual and reproductive health, and also lack of school fees. So there are quite a number of girls who, because they are not in school, they are not occupied all through the day. They end up engaging in relationships that are ill-advised without any proper care or protection, and then they end up pregnant.
It is estimated that in Kenya, 1 in 6 women aged 15 to 19 are pregnant or mothers, while 1 in 10 children have had sex for the first time at the age of 14. As the debate on the age of sexual consent being lowered to 16 years continues, this trend is of concern to all stakeholders. Adolescents are also at a high risk of contracting the HIV virus and other sexually transmitted diseases.
Nimenotice pia melala na mademu wengi, including beshte yangu. Mami alikuwa ananiambia haikosi hapo ni ugonjwa umebeba. Nikaendanga Uhusi, wakanipima, wakaniambia sina HIV.
The role of parents in sex conversations on whether to abstain or have it protected cannot be ignored.
I was just trying to explore what I was being told not to do.
Kwa sababu mamangu sometimes unapata anatoka job late na weekends pia patikani, anashinda kitutafutia. Mjengo.
So being that also most of them have just menial jobs that require, the more aggressive you are in seeking them out, the more money you can get. And this is a 7 days a week routine. So they have very little time to actually invest in getting to know their children and getting to know what these girls are up to from morning till evening, plus the boys as well. So over time, it's neglect, yes, but it's not always intentional neglect.
Stephen Ocheng is a matatu driver in this area, a father of 3 teenagers and a grandfather after his first daughter got pregnant at 14 and to a high school boyfriend who was 15 years old then. He says some cultures commonly practiced by some communities here, such as one that prohibits him to live under the same roof with his adolescent children, are partly to blame.
Umeona? Sasa hii mali unajua wewe huwezi kulala na mtoto wao wakishwa kwa ukubwa, huwezi kulala na kwa nyumba moja. Mali tunatafutia nyumba wanalala, hapo ndio wanatokea. Sasa wewe unafikiri mtoto analala pale, kumbe ametoka. Ameenda kwa hizi bus. Naitwa basi ni disco hii ya siku hizi.
Girls as early as 9 years and boys as well would already be engaging in sexual behavior. Now you have the choice of either letting them engage and deal with the consequences of teenage pregnancy, sexually transmitted diseases, potential attempts to abort, or the complications that might even lead into death for the young ones, or give them information about available services on either prevention or having safe sex. So those are the places where all the government policies and the controversies that come with actually place us.
Eunice Omolo, NTV, Kibera, Nairobi.
Now, clearly, a larger conversation needs to be had around this age of consent debate is concerned. Definitely a lot of the stakeholders need to sit on one table and make this a priority. That story by Eunice Omolo is anything to go by. Elsewhere, an 85-year-old granny from Makueni is appealing to Chief Justice David Maraga, the Attorney General and the Director of Public Prosecutions to intervene and help her end a 34-year-old land case. The court had ruled that Mboele Mwoki is the rightful owner of an 11.3-hectare piece of land in Wote and ordered the eviction of the unlawful occupant, but the defendant moved to court to block the eviction. Mboele, who temporarily abandoned her 5 grandchildren in court on Friday over the case, wants the matter dispensed with conclusively.
On Friday, an elderly woman and her daughter-in-law caused drama at the Machakos court when they abandoned 5 children in court, protesting a delay in delivery of judgment in a land dispute that has dragged on for 34 years. This is after the trial judge Eric Angote mentioned the next date of hearing. The angry women accused the judge of causing them untold suffering. Today, NTV caught up with the old sickly woman in a small grass-thatched house in the sleepy village of Tamutamu, a few kilometers past Kathonzweni, where she lives in a temporary structure since 1984.
We were very angry with the court's decision. That is why we abandoned the 5 children for the government to take care of them, as it does to destitute children.
The widow, Mbwele Mwoki, has been living a miserable life. This is where she calls home. For the last 30 years, she has been moving from one home to another, seeking refuge. Currently, she's putting up with her brother.
My brother has been piling a lot of pressure. He wants me to move.
The dispute is about 11.3 hectares of land at Kaseva village, Malivani Water Town in Makueni constituency. The land was allegedly sold at a cost of 29,000 shillings to an influential son of a former chief, Mutie Kioko, in 1984 by her stepson, Muli Mwoki, who disappeared and has never been seen since. Judgment on the case had been delivered on 5th April 2018, but the person who has been occupying the land appealed the judgment. Mbwele has a title deed to show that she is the rightful owner. The case is pending hearing in court over fresh counterclaims 34 years later, even after several rulings have been made. The courts have ruled in her favor several times.
Once a ruling is made in court, the man runs to the same court to stop his eviction from my land. He has been using such delay tactics for me to die so that he might possess my land fully.
Mbwele claims the alleged buyer has been disobeying court decisions through obtaining injunctive orders and counterclaims. She wants the man stopped from making further applications in the case.
We tried severally to access the land, but we were chased with bows and arrows.
In 2009, the court ruled that the alleged buyer illegally acquired the land. A Makueni Land Disputes Tribunal had also ordered the return of the estate to the aging woman. In the ruling, Mutie Kioko, the defendant, purchased the piece of land from strangers and not from the lawful owner, and that he should claim a refund of his money from those who received it. The octogenarian wants Chief Justice David Maraga, the Office of the Attorney General, and the Director of Public Prosecutions to intervene and help her acquire back her land. Rozongoi, NTV.
Lewa Conservancy has denied allegations raised by families of 4 missing people that their kin are being held at the Conservancy against their will. During the post-mortem examination, they saw the families submit DNA samples for possible matching with 6 bodies discovered at Savo West National Park. The families maintained that they were receiving messages from reliable sources advising them to get help for their loved ones who are being tortured at the Conservancy. Charity Mwangi with more.
The vastness of the Lewa Conservancy and the proximity of the Conservancy to the general area where 2 of the 4 missing persons disappeared made the narrative quite convincing. However, Lewa Conservancy representatives now claim that they lack the resources nor the intention to engage in any activities that violate human rights.
Lewa has really no ability to hold anyone against his will, and we have not done that. And this matter came to us as a shocker.
The families claimed that they were receiving text messages that led them to believe that their kin were alive and being tortured. They named a Kenya Wildlife Services board member who has links with the Conservancy as the main perpetrator in the saga.
Wamezuiliwa, walichukuliwa, na wale ambao waliwachukua ni wao. Moja kati ya zile tocha ambayo wanapitia, sigara ambazo anazovuta anazima kwa vichwa zao.
Tough allegations indeed. Lewa Conservancy maintains that the organization is innocent, terming the allegation as part of a smear campaign about the conservation efforts that the institution is well known for.
This is baseless, and we don't know whether the same kind of people are following to perpetrate this kind of thing, taking this opportunity to smear maybe the good name of Lewa.
Lewa maintains that they have a clear cause of action to deal with anyone found violating the law within and without the Conservancy and have no reason to engage in torture activities.
When someone is engaged in poaching, you simply arrest this person and take to the nearest police station. And then is this person taken through the process of the law.
Among the 4 people who are allegedly being held at the Conservancy includes Ramadhani Ali, who disappeared on the 12th of this month in the company of his friend Frederick Mwangi, and their last sighting was at the Archer's Post, which is 50 kilometers from the Lewa Conservancy. Their last mobile phone location was at Maili Saba at 11:30 p.m. Mwangi's family viewed the bodies discovered at the Savo and maintained their loved one is not among them.
Hata vile wako wa jamaa si watu wamekufa saa hizi, ni watu waliuawa mwezi kama mmoja imeisha ama mbili.
Lewa Conservancy has welcomed investigations by the police and has reached out to the families to visit the institution, if only to confirm that their missing loved ones are not there. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
Now, celebrated teacher and first African and Kenyan to bag the Global Teacher Prize, Peter Tabichi, arrived to a warm reception in Nakuru County, where Kericho Secondary School is located. Tabichi has promised continued support to needy students at the school as he called for equality in the education system. Now, Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohammed and Governor Lee Kinyanjui were among the leaders who received Tabichi. NTV's Bridget Sangana has been following up on those celebrations and files this report.
The man of the moment came home to an electric crowd of students and residents since he brought fame to the sleepy village of Pwani in Nakuru's Njoro sub-county. In the company of some of the finalists from the Global Teacher Prize Awards, Tabichi was praised for his selflessness in ensuring that all his needy students had a shot at life through quality education.
We must not just focus on the best, but we must look at the lower end of the pyramid. The children who are not able to go to big schools, the children who are not able to score very highly to go to the national schools, but they too deserve a future.
He has taught us humility. He has taught us professionalism. He has total integrity. He is responsible and therefore totally reliable. He is patient. His simplicity is actually beyond words. And he's a patriot and a visionary.
Tell the people come together and understand that no school, no education system can outperform the qualities of its teachers.
While confessing that his feat did not require anything extraordinary, but his passion to see his students excel, Tabichi says he's still committed to serve the underprivileged in his community.
Africa's young people will no longer be held back by low expectations. Africa will produce scientists, engineers, entrepreneurs, whose names will be one day famous in every corner of the world.
To congratulate the best teacher in the world, President Uhuru Kenyatta committed 20 million shillings towards the development of facilities at Kericho Secondary School. Elders at Pwani village added another feather in the tutor's cap by installing him as an elder. Peter Tabichi has come back home to Kericho Secondary School with the students and the local community having a lot of expectations that with this prize money of 100 million shillings, they will be able to see a difference in the quality of life here once and for all. Bridget Ghana, NTV, Nakuru County.
Again, congratulations to Mwalimu Tabichi. Now, elsewhere, prisoners at the Embu Provincial Prison have accused the officer in charge of frustrating rehabilitation programs at the institution, thereby leaving them idle, unoccupied, and without the prospects of a constructive life after completing their sentences. The prisoners claim senior prison warders use them as labor for private businesses and that they can do little about it as they are already inmates. NTV's Charity Mwangi has the details.
Prisoners at the Embu Provincial Prison sent this footage and still pictures from within the prison to illustrate the manner in which they spend most of their days. They followed that with a relaxed phone call that sought to put words to the challenges they are facing.
Kuamka ni saa 2 wanafunguliwa kwa jua, wanaota jua mpaka saa 4 wanarudishwa kwa nyumba, wanafunguliwa wakule saa 5 hivi, saa 8 wanafunguliwa tena, wanafunguliwa saa 8, saa 10 wanarudishwa nyumba wanakula. Hivyo tu inakuwa ni mitindo ni kutoka kukula nini hivyo, hakuna program zinaenda.
They accuse the officer in charge, one Charles Mtembe, of failing to support rehabilitation programs. According to them, those that were running during the previous management are no longer running. Their effort to start others meet great opposition.
Tulikuwa tuna support kuingia kwa program, tukawa tuna challenges kwa sababu ya ile nafasi tulikuwa tunatumia ni pahali kuna watu ni congested, watu ni wengi.
This on account of reasons that surround what they say is the officer in charge's money-making venture that is now a prison project run and supported by the prisoners.
Wale wamefanyia hiyo kazi ni wafungwa. Wafungwa hakosi wafungwa kutoka 9 kuendelea juu. Nao wafungwa bado wako na askari. Akona ng'ombe zake za maziwa, hiyo maziwa wale wanamfanyia kazi, wenye kukamua, wenye kuuliza hizo ng'ombe ni wafungwa.
NTV spoke to the Director of Rehabilitation and Prison Affairs, Mary Haemba, who condemned such activities, maintaining that the prisons are transformed institutions, with the main focus having shifted from punishment to rehabilitation.
It's not ethical, it's not right. If anything, prisoners should just do what is right, what is in line to rehabilitation. If it's farming, it should just be open farming for the institution, for them to learn how to farm. If it's doing whatever they are doing, it should be in line with what is expected of them as inmates.
The running programs, however, indicative of the lack of facilitation, as it seems that most of the available programs are either supported by volunteers or are using the available resources among the inmates.
You know, prison is holding everybody. So you find we have educated lawyers, we have doctors, we have teachers, all those people. So all those type of people, we engage them to teach different subjects, because we believe that we can use the available resources. Instead of making them go to the chamber, we say, can you go to class and teach? And they do very excellent work.
Haemba has promised to visit Embu Provincial Prison, if only to investigate and rectify the situation. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
Now, members of the Law Society of Kenya have moved a motion allowing lawyers to seek elective positions without a tax clearance certificate and that of the Higher Education Loans Board. Now, as members deliberated on who should be the male representative of the society in the Judicial Service Commission, there was an unanimous agreement that a lawyer will now only need a practicing certificate and that of good conduct to vie for elective positions. Members also withdrew a motion seeking to remove LSK President Gladys Gachanja from the leadership of the body. Reports on a looming battle between Gachanja and lawyer Tom Ojende seem to have been quelled after a consensus was reached.
Those requirements that had been placed on the way of a major candidate can no longer hold. It is therefore our expectation, and indeed on Monday we'll write to the Law Society of Kenya to give us the minutes and the resolutions made here, so that we forward these resolutions to the court when we next appear before it on the 8th of April, and ask the court to dismiss those petitions or to adopt the decision of the AGM as binding on this issue.
At this point, we take our fast short break on NTV Weekend Edition. A lot more coming your way right after this. Thank you for staying with us. To some politics now, Deputy President William Ruto and his allies have ignored President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive to stop politicizing the handshake and the Building Bridges initiative. The leaders have once again taken on their ODM opponents, with Ruto accusing opposition leader Raila Odinga of using the handshake as a ploy to destroy the Jubilee Party. He also dismissed those calling for his impeachment, as Vincent Oduor reports.
There is no political intention of hurting this person or fighting that person or doing this person, but we must come together. Find something else to do on weekends, my brothers and sisters.
Just a day after President Uhuru Kenyatta warned leaders allied to Deputy President William Ruto from politicizing the Building Bridges initiative and his move to involve the opposition in running the country. This weekend in Kakamega County, DP Ruto and his allies were back at it again, accusing opposition leader Raila Odinga of using the pact to destroy Jubilee Party.
Wengine wanakuja kufungana hapa na kutupangia maneno ya fujo na fitina, wakifikiria ya kwamba watatumia hii nafasi ati kuvunja chama ya Jubilee. Mimi nataka niwaambie hiyo ni ndoto ya mchana.
Ruto is accusing the opposition leaders of targeting him while purporting to work with the Jubilee administration. The DP has dismissed calls by some leaders, among them Senate Minority Leader James Orengo, on tabling a motion in Parliament to impeach him, saying such tactics will fail.
Na mambo ya kupangiana sijui mambo ya kule bunge. Mimi nataka niwaambie hawa wanasiasa, hiyo ni siasa ambayo imepitwa na wakati. Na wale ndugu zetu ambao tumewaambia tufanye kazi pamoja, wasituone sisi ni wajinga, ati wanatuambia tufanye kazi pamoja na huku wanatupangia njama. Mimi nataka niwaambie sisi ni watu tuko na rada, my friends. Sisi tunaelewa maneno.
The question of impeaching DP Ruto in Parliament has stirred debate across the country, with MPs divided on the issue. That divide seemingly defying political affiliations.
Kama tunalenga jamii yako, wakati corruption imetajwa tunalenga 2022 yako. Nani alikuambia 2022 ni yako?
Lete hiyo impeachment kwa bunge uone vile mambo itakuwa. Ndio utajua hiyo bunge iko na wenyewe. Hiyo bunge iko na wanaume, lete hiyo kitu uone.
You are not fighting corruption, you are looking for an easy way out, ndio upunguze makali ya deputy president.
Lakini wasiingize Raila kwa mambo ya Ruto. Ruto tunamtoa na tunaleta mswada katika bunge.
Kupigiwa kura mtu mmoja ilikuwa deputy president na president. Saa hii tunaambiwa deputy ni mbaya, president ni mzuri. Waacheni uongo nyinyi watu bwana.
The casual disregard for the president's wishes by DP Ruto and his allies is the latest sign of the glaring division in the Jubilee Party, which appears to have split into two factions, one led by President Kenyatta and the other by his deputy. Vincent Oduor, NTV.
Well, ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi has taken a swipe at the Jubilee government of allegations of corruption and failing Kenyans. Mudavadi says happenings in government show he was right to remain in the opposition, and he insists he will stay there even if he is the only one left. Mudavadi is asking President Kenyatta to focus on delivery and leaving a clean legacy rather than satisfying the selfish needs of a few individuals. Speaking in Ikolomani during the funeral of one of the victims of the ET-302 Ethiopian plane crash, Mudavadi also asked the government to be clear on the compensation process of the victims' families.
Ninaambia Uhuru, umesalamia watu, umezungumza mambo ya kusalamiana. Mwaka mmoja ukizungumza, tafadhali funga break. Wacha kutuambia mambo ya kusalamia. Toa pingu. Tulikuwa tunataka hiyo statement itolewe kwa bunge, iende kwa record ya Hansard, ndio tujue kwamba hii serikali imejitolea kufuatilia nini inafanyika. Lakini ukizungumza kule nje, that is not a commitment of government.
Away from politics, transport was disrupted today along the busy Narok-Bomet highway as police engaged in running battles with border operators and members of the public. It was reported that unknown people had been hired to barricade a local petrol station with rocks. The conflict could have escalated due to business rivalry between two transport companies, Narok Star Shuttle and Narok Line Shuttle.
Sounds of bullets filled the air. Police officers also using tear gas to try and disperse the rowdy crowd. They were protesting over a business disagreement. It is alleged that two conflicting transport companies, Narok Star Shuttle and Narok Line Shuttle, were behind the conflict as one of the parking bays for the shuttles had been barricaded using stones. Mohammed Bilo, the county manager of Haas Petroleum, said 50 lorries ferrying the rocks dumped them at the premises, causing damage of an unknown value.
We don't know the motive and we don't know who has done it. We will want the government and the agencies to investigate and find out what was the reason why they have done this.
Walishindwa kutengeneza stage na wanataka kutupeleka mahali hakuna choo. Hakuna ile vitu yote yenye binadamu anahitaji. Hakuna stima, hakuna kitu yote. Sasa wewe unaenda kuweka mara mapo, alafu unatuambia hiyo ni stage. Hiyo ni stage gani yenye hakuna choo?
The land where the property sits allegedly belongs to Lydia Ntimama and Timothy Ntimama, who have called on the government to intervene as it was reported that the perpetrators could have used political muscle to carry out the offense. Helen Aura, NTV.
Well, it's a little after 1:30. We take another short break on NTV Weekend Edition. A lot more awaiting you. Thank you for staying with us. Now, the Kenyan Asian community has flagged 10 trucks of foodstuff in partnership with the Kenya Red Cross to assist the communities affected by drought in Turkana and Baringo counties. The community has purchased over 500 tons of dry food to be distributed to the affected communities. The Asian community has also raised more than 40 million shillings after purchasing the food. The money will be used in distribution efforts in the various counties affected by the drought and resultant famine. They are urging Kenyans to give a hand where they can as contributions continue to trickle in. Drought and famine-related deaths have been reported in the affected counties, and the government has also released 2 billion shillings towards mitigation.
Together we have managed to raise sufficient funds for about 50 truckloads of foods that can be distributed to these needy counties.
If this group can even take one village in the future, in one county, and to say we're going to adopt this village, we're going to look into water, into health, into education, food security, so that we can address this matter even in one village as an example.
Tea pickers have issued a strike notice to protest the failure of multinational tea firms to sign a collective bargaining agreement that they want implemented. The workers under the Kenya Plantation and Agriculture Workers Union marched through the streets of Kericho Saturday morning towards the Kenya Tea Growers Association offices with placards and protest letters. They want the United Kingdom tea companies compelled to sign the collective bargaining agreement, which they have been fighting for since 2013. The workers have been demanding for a salary increment of at least 10%, which they say will enable them to better meet the cost of living. Farmers in Lodwar Showground are protesting planned eviction by the Turkana County government, which it intends to build a stadium where the small-scale farmers have been getting their daily food. For the last 10 years, the farmers from Nakwa Mwekwi, Napatet and Kana Mkemer villages have depended on the land where they grow crops and indigenous vegetables, which they have been supplying to prisons, schools and also feeding their families. Following the severe drought that has threatened people countrywide, the representative of young farmers at the Lodwar Showground, Josphat Ekitelo, claims the food production at Lodwar Showground firms boosts food security for many.
So tunaomba county government, ikiwa wanaona kwamba hapa ni mahali ambapo kunafaa, basi watuambie sisi kama community wametenga mahali gani ya kutupeleka sisi ili tuende tukuse pale, na wa make sure wametuwekea maji na tumepewa mbegu ya kutosha.
Now, the former General Service Unit officer Nicholas Langat, who was once part of the elite Iraqi squad that is part of President's security, has been admitted in a rehabilitation center for treatment for his alcoholism. Langat, in an interview, told NTV that he became an alcoholic after the death of his wife, who suffered from throat cancer, leaving him a single parent to their daughter. Langat landed a fully sponsored program at Jomek Rehabilitation Center in Nakuru, run by former National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse Chairman John Mutudo. The ex-Recce officer decided to check into the rehab center in a bid to turn a new page in his life. Residents of Kiangwithia East location in Kitui Central want the Kenya Wildlife Service to contain a lion which has been causing them sleepless nights. The lion has mauled cows and goats within the past week. The animal reportedly retreats to the nearby Mutito forest.
For the past 2 weeks, residents of Kiangwithia East location in Kitui Central have been living in fear after a lion strayed into their village from the Mutito forest and attacked their livestock. The lion has been invading homesteads at night and killing cows and quite a number of goats. Most children are unable to go to school for fear of being attacked. On Wednesday, the lion was spotted in Museve village.
Kasikia mayoe ya ng'ombe kama ziko kwa ngoma yenyewe zikipika mayoi. Hapo ndio wakati niliamuka yenyewe, wakati tulikimbia huko, lakini tulipata ndama moja ameanguka chini. Tukampata kama ameumwa huko shingo, tukapata ile mikuu yake yenyewe, ile sio mapu, ile nini maponde ya mikono, vile walikuwa anatembea kwa vile kulikuwa kumenyesha usiku.
The lion is suspected to have its den deep in Mutitu forest. KWS have set a trap to catch the animal, but residents say this is not enough considering the large size of the hill and its bushy nature.
Kuna simba ambaye atutorokea eneo hili la Changiria East. Kichaka iliposhika moto simba akatoroka, na tukaonya watu ya kwamba wasitembee usiku sababu huyo simba hatujui mahali yupo. Na watu wawe watulifu hadi vile watakaposikia kwamba simba.
This is the second time in less than a month the lion has strayed out of the forest, causing panic.
Well, a female DJ is awaiting you on Women and Power right after this. Now, armed with a love for music, Grace Nyambura enrolled into a disc jockeying college right after high school. Despite many not understanding or supporting her choice, Grace, aka DJ Redbone, is now one of the most sought-after female DJs in the country. I caught up with her at work on this week's Women in Power.
My name is Grace Nyambura, aka DJ Redbone. I'm a DJ here at Homeboys Radio. I DJ on Thursdays in the morning show, GMITM, from 9 to 10. I love music so much, but I'm extremely shy. So being a musician was out of the question. So I thought maybe DJing is a better fit for me. When I told my parents I want to go to DJ school, they didn't think I was serious. They were like, hey, other guys are going for driving, other guys are doing computer, why are you doing, what do you want? I had to tell them over and over again for 3 times, and they were like, okay, if it's something you're interested in, then show us the brochure, have you gone to that school, have you checked it out, is it something that you can actually do, and is it something that can bring you an income? And so I did the research, I found a school, and they were like, okay, sawa. But they were really skeptical at first. Most friends were supportive. Some are really skeptical. And I got married last year, so my husband's friends, they're really naysayers. They're like, I can't let my wife go and DJ, and me, I'm at the house. No, that can't happen in my house. But thankfully, he's really supportive. When I was starting out, I really had to prove myself. I worked so hard just to show people I can do it. It's not because I'm a chick. Them they're like, I know a chick, first of all, you can't work at night, you're so young. Especially the male DJs, they didn't support. They're like, hey, this chick she just wants attention. She doesn't even know how to DJ. But I really had to prove them wrong. But yeah, now I think we're at a better space. The male DJs are really just want to party, girls, but for female DJs we are really focused because we know how hard it is even to get there and to get a gig, so we can't play around with the opportunity. I think the one gig that really changed everything for me, Professor Dibia had come to Kenya and he had a listening party, and I was among the DJs who were playing for that event, and I was like, hey, if I've met Tufesi Dibia from Nigeria, now this thing, tuende sasa. Okay. People love to take advantage of female DJs. Number one, they pay us almost half what they pay the male DJs, and you're doing the same amount of work. Maybe these concerts, there are 5 DJs and you're one of them, and the 4 are male. Most usually, they want to push you to play either last or first when there are no people, There's so many things working against me. I'm a chick, I'm married, and I'm a DJ. Those things don't mix. So I really have to have boundaries between me and the promoters. If you feel your child loves music, don't suppress that talent. Just nurture it. I wish I had experience with music when I was younger, but I didn't. Our school systems, it's one path. But when you concentrate more on their talents, I think it will help you be more confident when now you want to follow your passion and you have support from your parents. They're the number one people that really matter. For anyone who is interested in the arts or any upcoming DJ, I'd emphasize on being focused and knowing what brought you here and what you want out of it. If you come just to have fun, your season will end and you have nothing to show for it. So you really need to be disciplined. It's so hard to save because I know when incomes are really fluctuating when you're a DJ. So you really need to plan yourself, budget, and really stay grounded.
Great advice there, and DJ Redbone actually tells me right now there are over 100 female DJs in the country. Well, still a hard task to actually go through, but still we are keeping on and increasing those numbers. Well done to DJ Redborn and anyone else who is in this profession. We take another short break on NTV Weekend Edition. Brian Otwal is next with the sporting action.
while Geoffrey Kamworor's quest to win the senior men's title 3 times in a row was dashed by Uganda's Joshua Cheptegei in Aarhus, Denmark.
Helen Obiri, who was making her debut at the cross-country event, became the first woman to win outdoors 5,000 meters, indoor 3,000 meters and cross-country 10 kilometers title at the senior level. Obiri led the race from start to finish, clocking 36 minutes 14 seconds to beat Ethiopian duo of Dera Dida and Gidele Tesenbet. While 3,000 meters steeplechase record holder Beatrice Chepkoech came in 7th. Beatrice Chebet won Kenya its first women's junior title in 6 years in a dramatic finish. Ethiopians Alemitu Tariku and Tisigie Gebreselame were initially handed the victory before the decision was reversed on appeal, with a photo finish showing Chebet victorious in 20 minutes and 50 seconds. In the men's senior race, 2-time champion Geoffrey Kamworor could not master the tough terrain to retain his title. Uganda's Joshua Cheptegei overcame his 2017 loss to revenge and snatch the men's title in a time of 31 minutes and 40 seconds. Jacob Kiplimo was second with Kamworor third. Kenya's Ronex Kipruto finished 6th. It was not an easy outing for Kenya in the junior under-20 men's event won by Ethiopian Milkesa Mengesha, with his compatriot Tedesa Worku second and Leonard Bet the best-placed Kenyan at 4th. In the mixed relay, Fantu Worku delivered a crushing victory powered by stunning acceleration in the final lap to peel away from her Kenyan challenger Winfred Mbide, who ended up finishing third behind Moroccan Rababe Arafi.
And defending champions Gor Mahia are at the summit of the Kenyan Premier League for the first time this season after coming from behind to beat Kariobangi Sharks 2-1 in Kisumu. The SportPesa Shield got into the round of 16, while Akakoro Academy were the toast of the FKF Elite Youth League.
It was a sweet victory for Gor Mahia as they overturned a 3-game losing streak against Kariobangi Sharks to win 2-1 and move to the top of the Kenya Premier League for the first time this season. The victory means that Gor Mahia moved to the top of the table with 38 points, 2 points ahead of Sofapaka having played 2 games less, while Sharks have now suffered 2 consecutive defeats but remain 6th. Meanwhile, Chemelil Sugar beat staggering Tusker FC 2-1. In the SportPesa Shield round of 16 Saturday matches, KCB crushed Vihiga 4-0, SS Assad edged Naivas 9-8 on penalties after their match ended goalless, and Mwatate beat Congo Boys 5-4 after their match finished 0-0. On Sunday, Western Steamer take on Wazito and AFC Leopards face Bungoma Superstars. The FKF Elite Youth League entered its second week with 6 matches played at the Camp Toyoyo grounds. Kamakunchi All-Stars came from behind to pip Kick It Kenya 2-1, while Diamond FC played out a 2-2 draw with Mukuru Talent Academy. The biggest winners of the weekend were Korogosho-based Akakoro, who strolled past Kibera-based Uweza Academy 5-0.
And